All right, good morning and happy Friday. Morning. My name is Roman Dorscher and I am very happy to welcome you to day 3 of the EENA 2017 conference. This is the last day and we're going to be starting off with a quite exciting topic and presenter. The Internet of Things has been described by people as a network of physical objects that connect and communicate, that help us with sensing and engaging with our environment and other technologies. But how does it really help us? And what can we expect in the future from this technology? And how will it impact our life? IoT, capital I, lowercase o, capital T, Internet of Things. What does it mean? I am very excited to welcome today, this morning, for the keynote, Ulrich Hohmann. Ulrich Hohmann is a distinguished architect in the cloud and enterprise business at Microsoft. As part of the senior engineering leadership team, Ulrich is responsible for the customer-led innovation efforts across cloud and enterprise platform portfolio, engaging with the most complex and innovative customer and partners across the globe. Please help me welcome Ulrich to the stage.
Thank you very much. A wonderful good morning, and yes, it is Happy Friday, the third day in the conference. Can we switch to the PowerPoint, please? Thank you. The team asked me to kind of talk to you about what is the Internet of Things, more in a basic education kind of mindset, to make sure that we all understand what's going on, why is it going on, and what can you do with it. After spending 2 days with you, I'm kind of like, these guys know all about the Internet of Things. I'm seeing drones flying around with Romeo here, all sorts of other things. So we will take it at stride and see how far we go, and I'll share with you what we are seeing as Microsoft, but without sharing with you what we're doing from a product perspective to really give you a view of what's possible without necessarily talking about vendor capability. As always, the future is already here, it's just unevenly distributed. I'm seeing a lot of innovation and advancements in public sector and public safety. It's just not necessarily everywhere, and part of the question that the IoT environment will raise for you guys is how do you get access to it? And how do you figure out how to really take advantage of it? Because there will be people that are very advanced, again, Romeo with his flying drones, and then there are people that are still on analog phone lines, and that's kind of the world we live in, and we have to think through how we make it a little bit more even. IoT is just another piece on the transformation spectrum that's happening right now, what we as Microsoft call digital transformation. It starts with cloud. Why does it start with cloud? Because we are collecting data at an unprecedented rate. I have some very nice statistics that last year we collected about 20 zettabytes of data. Zettabytes are huge. There is a nice little graphic that says 20 zettabytes fill, if you would take a petabyte or a gigabyte being a rice corn, it would fill the Pacific Ocean with rice. That's kind of how we are, and by 2020 we will fill an Earth-sized cup, quote unquote, with rice if we collect at this current rate. There is no way that you can do that in a server, in a closet, in your environment. You have to have data centers and environments that are capable of handling exabytes of data today and maybe zettabytes tomorrow. Microsoft and other cloud providers are clearly in that game and are here to help you to really make this possible. IoT we will spend a lot of time on to really think through what is it and how does it help you. And the next two are already coming and already in production in a lot of areas. The next one is Edge. How do you take data, compute power and so forth and deploy it where it's needed most? Data centers in the cloud are of course somewhere and they might not be where you need the data in the environment most, and the latency might be too high for certain security relevant scenarios. So the next wave of computing is going to be deployed out there, but connected to the public cloud so that you can take advantage of compute power locally, but integrate the analytics components and so forth into the public cloud environment. And then last but not least, and I think most relevant for public safety, is this notion of AI, artificial intelligence, in terms of helping you understand out of the very large data set that we're processing, the relevant data. You will have machines effectively take care of understanding that there is an object that got left in a subway station, and these machines will effectively identify that object, understand that that's potentially a security hazard, and alert the necessary people to effectively deal with it. Machines will effectively do recognition of people and faces, saying, okay, out of 10 million people, I'm going to zoom in on my friend Romeo because he's the only one I know right now, and effectively say, Romeo is a bad apple and I'm going to track him. Human beings cannot do that out of 10 million beings and 10 million photos. We have to have the support of the machines, and AI is effectively the technology to do that. So don't think that IoT is a thing in itself. It is a part of a bigger continuum, and it's really playing together with cloud, AI, and utilizing edge technologies to bring it all together into a solution set. Why here, why now? There's two things that are happening. One, Moore's law, which is effectively the law of doubling the transistor count per every 18 months, continues to be true. That means we can continue to add more compute power into ever smaller things. So what you used to have in a mainframe is now, I think, 10 times more we have on our cell phones. We can also take the same power and now move it to systems that have a CPU that's smaller than the tip of my pinky. And so you have 2,000 transistors on one of those little guys for $1 each, and you can effectively think through to put compute power everywhere. And I mean literally everywhere. We will see light bulbs and light management systems that today are very manual, completely be automated. And I'm sure you can imagine things in your environment that when compute power and connectivity is applied, they can actually be super helpful for the mission that you are in charge of. Yesterday, in a smart city and emergency services conversation, I think the person from Motorola already mentioned Metcalfe's law. I don't think he mentioned Metcalfe, but at the end of the day, Metcalfe said, look, the value of connectivity increases by the square root of the connections that are made. The Internet of Things allows you to connect billions of things and allows you to effectively generate value out of that connectivity. And now, stepping back after listening to your mission and scenarios a little bit more, don't think just things of being inanimate things. The social network feeds are effectively another set of connections that are super relevant to your mission. And it's another set of connections, the more we tap into them, the higher value we get out of them. And really thinking through how you take connectivity as well as compute power and apply that to the various scenarios that are out there is part of the critical question that I think we all need to answer. Internet of Things is really a number of stuff. First of all, it's things. And it's really fascinating when you think about the compute history. We always talked about something very concrete, a mainframe, a PC, a mini, or a smartphone. Now we're simply saying things. We've kind of given up of classifying anything specific because it could be literally anything. I have scenarios where people are swallowing pills, and the pill is effectively an internet-connected thing that while it travels through your body dispensing medicine, collecting information, it effectively shares that information with the doctor through a Bluetooth or a near-field communication system. And so don't let your imagination stop you. It is effectively anything you might be able to do and connect. The other piece is connectivity. 5G is around the corner. There are some countries that are already deploying 5G, which will get us effectively gigabytes of transmission speed with very, very low latency. I think it's below 1 millisecond in terms of transmission speed. Once we get to that kind of connectivity and communication capability, what can we push? Today we struggle with video, for example. Video is a really useful medium for the scenarios we are interested in here, but it's really hard to transmit. With 5G, video will become the norm rather than the exception. and fully digital video, not just analog video, that we can convert to photos. I already talked about data. Data in this crazy world is like amazingly collecting. Microsoft internally, for example, runs a data warehouse, and that data warehouse runs over 250,000 machines and is managing about 6 exabytes of data. Yes, exabytes, not petabytes. And that's what we use internally for telemetry, for our search engine and so forth. That's the type of big data that is possible to utilize, to analyze, and of course bring forward to a mission of whatever kind. Coupled with data come analytics. Analytics in various forms. One of them is, of course, big data, batch analytics, to understand patterns. Romeo told me he's working with Microsoft on avalanche detection in the Cascade Mountains, which again take a number of lives every year. And so using drones and data collection and analytics, trying to figure out where the next avalanche is going before it's going, is part of the job of analytics. And then last but not least, of course, how do you action this? I mentioned AI before, where the camera detects that something got lost or got stood by in a subway. It's great if the system detects it, but if the system would go next step and saying, call my friend Louis from response services to effectively go and take care of it, that's the next step. You really want to drive action out of the analytics, the understanding of the data, and then bring the action into people or things, meaning I can put the fire suppression system on if I detect there is a fire. If it doesn't do that automatically, of course, and so forth. So this set of 5 components belong together. IoT is not just the thing. It is really understanding the sensors, the data, collecting them, putting them into an environment where they can be analyzed, and then drive action out of it. That's really, if in a nutshell, you think about IoT, that's what we are enabling. And why do we do that? You need to translate this into your world, but generally speaking, what we are really trying to figure out is how do I collect a lot of data to improve the service I deliver, to delight the citizens or people that I serve, to use your terms, and really drive more and more understanding of how the citizens, how the incidents and so forth work, and how do you effectively drive understanding that something is about to happen. It is great to react really fast if you can, and that's certainly an important part, but it's even better if I have enough data and enough situational awareness to say, you know what, this is about to blow, or the avalanche is about to go. And I can effectively take people and move them out of the danger zone before something happens. So from our perspective, IoT, in the ideal case, is taking data that we collect from all sorts of sensors, environments, and so forth, putting them into an analytic environment and prevent things from happening. And part of this is question, how do we do that together? Because it is something that we need to do together. And one of the things I spent some time with some police people from the UK, the walls that are between the various services, between ambulance services, fire rescue services, and police services, are a problem from my perspective. The more data we collect across the ecosystem, the better we can serve our customers. And driving this kind of loop in a public safety and security scenario is something that we as a partner would be very happy to help with, but we need you to help us and help yourselves to really take advantage of this fascinating technology with the right push towards solutions. Out of all of the IoT scenarios that I think are very, very relevant to you, sensors are fairly easy, meaning they collect data like heat, humidity, whatever the pieces might be. I think for public safety, the piece of IoT that we call big cognition is the most relevant in the immediate term, but of course also the hardest because it requires the most data, the most analytic power, and effectively requires you to invest and understand AI. But what's happening right now is we understand as a system speech better than humans. I don't know if you know, but there's actually a speech recognition test that is standardized, and every year there's a group of people, professionals actually, that listen to speech, and if I speak to you, you get about 96% of what I'm saying. Because of the way we listen. Our brain, as far as I know, every 10 seconds we get distracted by something. That's the way our brain works. And so 96%. Machines now can actually understand more of the words. They're actually at 97.1%. So if you have a 911 system or 999, whatever the number is for you, and have the machine listening, it actually might pick up more than a human operator. The human operator is more flexible today, but certainly from an understanding perspective, the system is getting better at understanding human speech than humans itself. Of course, doing it across languages. Part of the challenge we all have is that we have immigrants, we have people from different backgrounds, and they call in, and they might not be able to express themselves in the native language. Having a system that automatically transcribes the speech from, let's do the extreme, from Chinese to English, or from Syrian, Arabic to something like Hungarian, would be something that's very, very useful. And the systems can do these things today. Vision, I mentioned the scenario with the bag before, and so forth. And all of that combined, if applied in concert with the humans that effectively do the first rescuing and so forth, will enable you to do better and more for your constituents than you're currently able to do because of the constraints of both technology and human capability out there. So I think that's another really interesting set of technology and use cases to explore in your set of scenarios. Just to give you an idea, the images here are a bit silly, but we did a test just to see how we can do it, and really loaded up 10 million images into a cloud data environment, and then run face recognition across these 10 million things within 5 minutes. And the system was effectively able to identify gender, age, and to a degree, when possible, when information was available, who it is. We only used public data sources, of course. We didn't have access to criminal databases or anything like that. But you can imagine if you have a snapshot of video streams that you can actually load into an environment and let the analytics system run. And it will find the people. Just to give you another scenario, I don't know if anybody is here from Brazil. I heard there's a delegation here. I spoke to the education department in Brazil. And unfortunately, in the city of Sao Paulo, I think about 200 kids get lost every day. Lost meaning they go away. Nobody knows where they are. And the police has been working on an application together with us on taking photos of known places where, let's call it, interesting things are happening. And effectively see if any of these photos are of kids that have been reported lost. Because when a kid comes into school now, they effectively take a photo of him or her and put the system into a database, and that database is being used as a facial recognition backend for the photos that the police officer or somebody else, like a social worker, takes. So it's not just silly applications like finding, I don't know, various people like the US presidents. It's really something that you can use in crime prevention, but also in helping missing people cases and so forth. It's a really powerful technology, and it's super cheap to use, which is the other piece. Technology like this exists. I know that some of you have used those things, but generally those are bespoke systems, and they're very expensive. This is general technology, and it's very, very affordable. And you only pay, because it's cloud-based, for what you use, when you use it. It's not something that you have to continuously pay for because you have purchased it once. Of course, all of this is hanging together in an intelligent infrastructure model. I'm not going to belabor the point because all of you have seen smart city presentations and other things. At the end of the day, the power of the system is the more it's connected, the more value it brings. So I mentioned the walls between the various services. I think that's one conversation to have in an environment. And I know that, for example, the city of New York has done great partnership with the private sector to get access to the image systems, video systems and so forth that, let's say, a bank or another store has in case of emergency. So that if they need to get access to private information, they can effectively do that. And so forth. IoT follows the human desire chain, thinking through how do I see everything, how do I know everything, how do I become immortal, so health, how do I express myself as a human, and of course all of that is also relevant for the safety spaces here to say how do I support safekeeping, what data can I collect from those things, how do I support better understanding of what's happening in commercial buildings, in homes and so forth. The other piece is that IoT is really something where the model of compute is changing from thinking through a device first, whatever the device might be, to a understanding of data and surrounding and really using cognitive. I don't have time to tell you my normal story, but if you think about a light switch where you would like to have a smart home and then you say, okay, I'm going to find a web application on my phone to turn on the lights. The competition is a light switch, click. And so part of this is we are going to see speech, we're going to see people recognition automation come in where the system recognizes that you are home and will automatically turn on things. What can we do in your scenario with that kind of capability? I'm not going to go through these, but some examples. They are not specific to public safety because you guys have seen a lot of those, but I wanted to share with you something that people are doing to really help themselves in a specific vertical. So Glasgow, for example, is using a lot of the citizen data that they collect and providing that data with, of course, the right controls and privacy and so forth to application developers that want to help build new applications for the city. So where to find interesting things and so forth. The deployment of Maryland, these guys are effectively deploying sensors into farmland to determine where do I need to put nutrients into the soil and how much water do I need to give various plants and so forth. And all of this fully automated and driven by IoT. Smart buildings, very, very big system right now is to say how do I move from reactive to proactive so that the elevator doesn't break down, for example, or the heating system doesn't break down. And for example, our friends from Schneider Electric have built a global operations system for 40,000 sensors across all of their deployments. So they're effectively offering services to their customers that deploy these systems to drive the automation insights that only Schneider has, but they were never able to give it to their customers because they are not on site all day. So that's another piece to think about. And then manufacturing, a lot of this is moving from reacting to things to proactively providing support, services, and help before things happen. And really helping the teams on the ground come with the right tools and the right equipment with the right parts and so forth. Because oftentimes in the repair case, we see people come, they say, darn, I have thought I was this part, and they have to go back, pick the right part, come back and so forth, which is expensive and of course takes time. In a down scenario for an elevator, that's not that problematic. But in your case, if you're rescuing lives, bringing the right things without bringing a 50-ton truck every time to bring everything is a thing that I think IoT can help make possible and optimize so that you can save more lives. And that's really all I had, was allowed to share with you guys because 17 minutes, 17, precise, and we have a Swiss taskmaster here, so it's only 17 minutes. Thank you very much, and I hope it helped you a bit understanding what IoT is, where it's coming from, and the combination of cloud, IoT, data, and analytics is a powerful thing. The more data we collect, the more services and intelligence we can provide. Thank you very much and enjoy the last day in Budapest.
Thank you very much for overview of the Internet of Things, and you in essence just summarized your presentation, so that gives us a couple more minutes in savings, so I don't have to do that, and we can open up the floor to 2 questions from the audience. Go on, it's Friday morning, good questions.
And the cruise was not that late, so it's okay.
Okay, so I have a question. Good. So the Internet of Things, I mean, this is really exciting, and it is helping myself. I do really cool things inside my home, but where does it really lead to for me as an individual? What do you expect in the next year, 5 years?
Well, 5 years is a long time in this new world. So I don't know if anybody has seen Elon Musk's latest startup. So Mr. Musk thinks that human beings are kind of boring. I disagree with him, but fair enough. And he's starting to connect biosystems, so electronic systems effectively, with the humans. So he's merging and fusing human beings. I'm not quite sure that I would go that far, but I do believe that what's called the quantified self, meaning the measurement of all of our health signals, vitals and so forth, will continue to grow. How many of you carry a Fitbit or something like that? So some of you. More of you will do that, because either the insurance guys will ask for it, or you will do it because it is giving you an overview of how healthy you are, and we all want to live forever. So from that perspective, all of that signal detection and so forth. The other piece, I don't know if you remember the Minority Report, a little movie from Tom Cruise. We are this close to do this. We're not going to do this with retina detection, don't worry. We just have to use your face to effectively drive personalized advertising and other things. Or the way you walk, or the way you are part of a gender, etc., etc. So the systems will start to really recognize you and put everything around you in context. In positive, the lights will turn on, the way you like it. In maybe not so positive, that advertising gets personalized to you. And the systems know a heck of a lot about you. Unfortunately, we as humans are very predictive people. We have habits, and once the system understands the habits, it can actually tailor to those habits, again, in positive ways, and also in, let's call it, commercially exploitative ways. Let's call it that. And so I think that's where it's going.
Very fascinating. So if there are no other questions from the audience, we will transition to the next session, which is the discussion on advanced mobile location deployment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.